presentation of Financial Crisis Recovery.
Foreclosure, short sales, bankruptcy, credit card debt, job loss, depreciating home values, money management. Peace of mind when it comes to your finances seems completely out of reach under current conditions, but there is a way to achieve it. For the next 60 minutes, you're going to find out how to cover your assets. Cover your assets. Now, here's nationally renowned speaker and expert on getting you on the path to financial strength, Todd Rooker.
Good morning, this wonderful Saturday morning, last Saturday of June, to cover your assets. I am so happy to be here. Want to talk to you today. The topic is going to be basically why I put the show together in the first place. If you've been listening to the show or you listen to the commercials at the break during the time that we've done this show, and we've been doing it now for over a year, previously at another station, now thankfully at ESPN, and our wonderful affiliate here. At the break, you'll hear me describe my business by telling you a little bit about my average client. My average client being someone, and I'll just give you the quick pitch here. Somebody will typically come to me, my clients, and say, I've never missed a payment in my life, Todd. Never thought I would. Still haven't, as a matter of fact. I have excellent credit. But I've been told by two people who don't even know one another that you're the guy to see. One of them is my attorney, which is a bit perplexing because an attorney referring me to somebody who's a non-attorney seems a little odd to me. But, hey, Todd, here's my deal. Never missed a payment, but I'm exhausting all of my financial resources just trying to make my payments on time. I can see that I'm going to run out of money. My savings, I've exhausted. I've taken loans from my retirement account, cash advances from my credit cards, and even gone so far as to borrow money from family and friends. And at this point, I feel as though I've done nothing but just simply delay the inevitable. And at this point, my questions are, Todd, do I just let my business go into an orderly liquidation with the bank? Do I consider things like foreclosure, short sale, deed in lieu, loan modification, credit counseling, maybe even, Lord forbid, bankruptcy? And then how do I rebuild my life and get back on track when this disaster is over? That is my business, and that's what I do start to finish, and every single one of those things are issues that I have to be a bona fide expert in. That makes me very unique, and I think a lot of people, when they listen to the show, they're wondering what it is about. Sometimes they'll ask me, what the heck is it that you actually do? And it's hard to pigeonhole it, and it is incredibly unique. And so when I talk about these topics, I have a proficiency that is not typical in a wide range. So as you hear me interview my strategic partners, whom I consider to be the very best in the business, you'll notice that I really have no problem discussing the intricacies of their businesses. And the reason is pretty simple. It's my job to know much of what they know, and not to the degree that I practice in these areas, but certainly to the degree that I really understand what they do, how they do it, and how it can benefit a client, and a lot of the detailed intricacies that are lost on most non-practicing professionals if you're not in that area. And that's really what I need to know. The difference for me is that I don't sell mortgages or real estate or credit services or even investment products anymore. And I must say I've been in the financial planning business for, we'll just call it, over 25 years. So that is formally my background and what I've done my entire life. But this particular issue of financial crisis and helping people ensure that they're never in the position in the first place and helping them when they are is something that began long ago in my career, started in the mid-'80s in the financial planning business. And I will tell you that when I started, I grew up on a farm in northern Minnesota. I became very familiar with farming and the farming community, obviously growing up in that way. And when I went to do estate planning, which we thought would be a great plan, working with farmers who had a problem, generational tax, where if you were a farmer and you owned $2 million worth of land, upon the death of the final mom or dad, whoever passed away last, that tax could be as much as 50% of the estate, and it would be due within 9 months of the death of what we called the final decedent, meaning whether mom or dad passed away last. And we would do estate planning Because the irony was, if you sold the farm that was supposed to be valued at $2 million for considerably less money than that, at that time the tax didn't change. The evaluation of the farm was based on that number, and as was the tax. So if you sold the farm under a distress situation, or maybe just because everybody in town knew what you had going on, you were forced to sell this farm for pennies on the dollar. It didn't matter. You still owed up to $1 million in tax on $2 million estate. Well, my God, it would devastate the family farm. And so we thought that would be a great plan to do estate planning with things like joint second to die policies and asset protection or estate planning strategies long in advance to be able to protect that farm so that it could pass from generation to generation. And of course, if you grow up in the city, and I know most of the people who are living who are listening to this probably are city folk, when you grow up in the city, your perception of a family farm is skewed because you don't truly understand. Your perception is, hey man, you own a $2 million asset like a farm. If you got financial problems, sell the farm. You're still rich. You don't have a problem. Of course, the issue there is one that if you grow up on a farm, you understand. A farm is never something that you're going to sell. It's been in maybe the family for 5 generations or more, and it is only simply a way to derive an income. And you pass that family farm from one generation to the next, presumably in better shape, meaning the land and the reputation of you and your family farm and you and your family better than you found it from the last generation. But you never look upon it as an asset to be sold. You just simply look upon it as something or a way to derive an income, and it is a life being a farmer. So the idea that you're going to sell that farm to pay a tax or to go live off the money for the rest of your life doesn't even occur to farmers. So when I began my career in financial planning, working with these folks, I found out very quickly that although I did believe that it was a great business and all of that, we hit it at the wrong time. I had a good friend who was an estate planning attorney. I was going to be the financial planner. He was going to be the attorney. We were going to, go off famously and succeed to our wildest dreams. Well, at the time that we hit it, it was the farm crisis of the mid-'80s. And during that time, the farmer was not interested in generational tax, as we found out very quickly. They were instead concerned with, how do I go to battle with the people who used to be my best friends, the bankers, who are now trying to liquidate my family farm and my equipment? And that is something that I did exclusively for 10 years. And so the crisis that's going on in residential real estate is something that I've been well acclimated to for a long, long time. And I've been dealing with these issues for many, many years. It isn't just the distressed property expert or the short sale. I've seen it all, and I've seen every bit of the intricacies and the different directions that this can take, and that's why I have to know what the CPA knows, the financial advisor, the mortgage broker, the credit specialist, and all these people combined, which is unique. And a lot of times people will say to me, look, I've already been to see all these professionals. What are you going to tell me that I haven't already heard before? And I sit down with them, I talk with them and go through a consultation with them, and they say, my God, I've learned more in 1 hour than all these other people combined and all these other meetings that I've had. Where in the world did you come from? And man, I wish I'd had an opportunity to talk to you a few years ago, because I probably wouldn't be in this position. So, when you think about the family farm and what it means to lose a family farm, it pales in comparison. I know that it destroys families when people lose their residential homes. But imagine when you lose a farm that has been in your family for generations and you are the person who loses that family farm and what that means. When we first started doing that work, we went to see a farmer because we were referred by somebody else who told us that this guy really needed some help. We sat down with him at his kitchen table in his home on his farm, and he sat and literally this man who was about 6'4" and probably nearly 300 pounds just literally wept in front of us about what was happening to him and what his farm meant to him and his family, and it was just absolutely devastating. Well, beyond that, I can just tell you that we really weren't able to help him because it was in the face of something that was so imminent and so forthcoming that there was no way to stop it. The train had already left the station. And just very shortly thereafter, we went to the auction where they auctioned off his equipment. And for those of you who actually worked at this time with these people, you're going to know what I'm talking about. This gentleman, there was an auctioneer standing up there auctioning off all of the equipment and all of their personal belongings and all of the things that they had at the time that were on the auction block. This big farmer stumbles up onto the stage, pushes the auctioneer on the podium down and off the stage, and stands up there with a gun in front of everybody, and just without getting too graphic, took himself out in front of all of us. And that was how I began this career of helping people who are in this position going through this. And some of you who remember back during the farm crisis of the mid-'80s, farmers would burn their farms to the ground. They would drive their equipment into the lake behind their farm. They were the devastation and the toll that it took on a person is almost it's impossible to even describe. And I watched that go on, and I really learned what it means to go through a financial crisis and what it means when you have to make a decision of whether you pay your bill or feed your kids. And when you have that situation at hand, everything changes. And for all the people who are out there who say, well, those people, that's their own problem, they deserve it, and, I'll never be in that position. Well, let me tell you what, everybody I ever talk to will tell me, because at $250 an hour, I don't deal with the financially challenged and screwed up in life. I'm dealing with people who are 57, 65 years old who will tell me, Todd, I've never missed a single payment in my entire life, not one. And these people will all tell me, I never, in my wildest imagination, thought I'd be in this position. I never thought I'd ever miss a payment, ever, much less a mortgage payment. And here they are in front of me in the face of losing their primary home and everything that they own. So nobody's ever in a financial crisis until they are. And nobody ever expects that they're going to be in this situation until they are. And then when they are, they have no preparation. They have no idea how to deal with it. And that's where I come in, and that's where I help them. So the service I provide is highly specialized. I don't know of anyone else in the country who does what I do in quite the same way. The problem is, if you're a person who's been searching for this information and, you're told by somebody, or you come to one of my classes at Kaplan Professional Schools or one of the other associations that I do classes for, and you see me and you say, my God, I finally found the person who can help me. Then you call my office and speak to one of my assistants who tells you